Robert, good morning. So go ahead and take a seat over here. Robert, these are the county's exhibits that will be, you can go ahead and take a seat. Those are the county's exhibits that we'll be referencing during the hearing, just so you have a reference. They're labeled. During the county's testimony, we will reference each exhibit and refer to it then, and you will have the opportunity to object to any of those exhibits if you want to, but we'll explain where they fit within our case. You'll explain what? We'll reference the exhibits in our testimonies. Howard, the county's ready to begin.
Okay. Good morning, Mr. Flame. Are you prepared to begin?
Mr. Flame, are you ready to begin? Yeah. Okay.
Can you hear me okay, Mr. Flame?
I can't hear you.
Can you hear me okay now? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I guess you're talking about it. I can hear you now.
Okay, wonderful. Mr. Flame, just before we begin, my name is Howard Brown. I'm a lawyer here in town, and I serve as a hearing officer, kind of like a judge, to conduct these hearings and make sure that I have all the relevant information and everyone's side of the story so that I can make a decision as to whether there's a violation of the zoning code or not. And so that's the purpose of the hearing today, okay? If there's any point where you cannot hear me or you cannot see me, please just raise your hand and let me know, okay?
Okay.
All right. So let's go ahead and get started. We are on the record. This is being recorded. Today is March 6th, 2024. The time is 8 a.m. And this is the zoning violation hearing on zoning violation citation PZC 23-0037, Coconino County versus Robert Flame, taking place by video conference and live at Thomas Auditorium, Department of Community Development. And this hearing is being held pursuant to Coconino County Zoning Ordinance Section 5.14. I have received the county's exhibits 1 through 9D, which I believe Mr. Flame has also been presented with. I have not received a witness list from the county, so therefore I assume that only Zoning Ordinance Inspector Mark Stento will be testifying for the county. I have not received any exhibits or witness list from Mr. Flame, and therefore at my discretion, any exhibits or testimony of witnesses other than Mr. Flame may be admitted or excluded. Okay. Mr. Flame, you did receive a copy of the citation, is that correct?
I'm sure I did, yeah.
Okay. Am I also correct that you did not submit an admission or denial of responsibility to the county?
Yeah, I didn't send anything that said I didn't do it. Is that what you're saying?
Okay. Is that correct, Mr. Stento? Mr. Flame did not submit the admission or denial of responsibility form?
That's correct. We did not receive an admission or denial of responsibility that was sent along with the citation and the notice to appear.
Okay. Okay. Well, the way that the hearing is going to work today is that you'll each have an opportunity to give me a little opening statement. And then, Mr. Stento, you'll testify under oath regarding the circumstances of the citation. Mr. Flame can cross-examine you. So that means, Mr. Flame, after Mr. Stento testifies, you can ask him questions, okay?
Okay.
And then when Mr. Stento is done, Mr. Flame, you can give me your statement under oath. And when you're done giving your statement, Mr. Stento can ask you questions, okay?
Okay.
And then at the end, if it's appropriate, I might ask each of you to give me a closing statement that just summarizes what you think the evidence shows, okay? Okay. I don't think it'll be a problem, but I expect everyone to act civilly and professionally and politely during the hearing today, okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Everyone's ready to proceed?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Stento, do you want to give an opening or would you like to just dive into your sworn testimony?
I can just dive into my sworn testimony. It's all the same to you, sir.
Please raise your right hand then. Do you, and you can, yeah, Mr. Flame, you can do that too, and I'll give the oath to both of you at the same time. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in your testimony today?
I do. I do.
All right, thank you. Mr. Stento, please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. So I would like to bring to the attention of the hearing officer case PCC 230037 at 1851 South River Valley Road, parcel 106070001 Victor, located within Coconino County and zoned as agricultural residential with an approximate lot size of 2.5 acres. The property is owned by Robert Flanagan. Robert, am I pronouncing your name correctly? Okay. On 13 July 2023 at 15:20 hours, Coconino County Code Enforcement received an online case request submitted directly to us alleging inoperable vehicles and refuse at 1851 South River Valley Road. The reporting party's complaint is reflected verbatim in the case descriptions shown in Exhibit 6, along with a concise timeline showing the county's attempts to bring the property into compliance through an almost 6-month process. I ask that Exhibit 6 be admitted into evidence, Mr. Brown.
That's the case notes dated, or I guess report run on 18th of December 2023.
Yes, sir, and that also includes the complainants, again, verbatim, the reporting party's verbatim complaint that the county received.
That part I don't see as part of Exhibit 6.
It's under case description and site address, the case notes. At the top of the case notes, that information was submitted directly into our system by the reporting party.
So where it says vehicles on property in full view that don't run, the property is a junkyard with no residents on it, that's the verbatim report?
Those are the words of the reporting party, sir.
Okay, Exhibit 6 is admitted.
Thanks, sir. As a compliance manager for Coconino County, I visited the property on 14 July 2023 with Code Enforcement Officer John Cole. During the site visit, I noted an array of secondhand materials, household items, construction materials, and several inoperable or unregistered vehicles strewn from the entry of the property all the way up to the termination of the driveway at the gate. That site visit is documented in Exhibits 1A, 1B, and 1E, which I asked to be admitted into evidence.
1A, 1B, and 1E?
Yes, sir.
Okay, those exhibits are admitted.
Okay. Access to the remainder of the property was provided by an unobstructed, unfenced path to the right of the driveway. To the rear corner of the property, an old mobile home was noted, as well as another inoperable vehicle. The interior of the property was covered with secondhand materials, household items, construction materials, and refuse. I asked in Exhibits 1C and 1D, which cover the interior of the property, be admitted into evidence.
And did you take those photos?
I did.
All of Exhibit 1, you took those photos?
I did.
Okay. And all on July 14.
I did, sir, that's correct.
Okay, 1C and 1D are also admitted.
Okay. Code enforcement officers were unable to contact anyone at the property. It appeared to be unoccupied. Code enforcement officers left a notice at the property, issued a notice of violation for unscreened secondhand materials and inoperable vehicles via certified mail on 18 July 2023. Mr. Flammy signed for the notice of violation on 20 July 2023. This is reflected in Exhibit 1, which I asked be admitted into evidence.
So one is the notice of violation together with the green card signed by Mr. Flame, and that's admitted.
Thanks, sir. On 26 July 2023, code enforcement received a voicemail from Mr. Planning acknowledging receipt of the notice of violation and requesting return content. I called Mr. Planning back and explained the violation and the associated timeframe. I conducted additional site visits on 10 August 2023 and 22 August 2023. Photos from the 22 August 2023 inspection are provided as exhibits 2A, 2B, and 2C, which I asked be admitted into evidence. Note that this was once the initial compliance timeframe had expired on August 20, 2023.
And did you take the photos 2A, 2B, and 2C?
I did, and sir, I also asked that 2D be admitted into evidence as well, which is also part of that same site visit, excuse me.
One second.
Yes, sir.
Those were all taken from the road?
2A was taken from the entry to the property. 2B was taken from on the property itself, walking up the drive to the property. So yes, on the property. 2C was taken about 20 yards up onto the driveway on the property, looking back at the entry to the property. 2D was taken from a slight distance, looking at the substantial amount of material at the end of the driveway before entering into a partially screened area on the interior of the property, where 2C, or excuse me, 1D and 1C were taken on the initial site visit.
Okay. 2A through 2D are admitted.
Okay. At this time, no substantive changes were noted on the parcel, and the violations remain unabated. A final notice of violation was issued via certified mail later the same day and was received and signed for by Mr. Fleming on 31 August 2023. This is reflected in Exhibit 2, along with the certified mail receipt, and I ask that Exhibit 2 be admitted into evidence.
Exhibit 2 is admitted.
Okay. Code Enforcement Officer John Cole and I conducted a site visit on 27 September 2023 to check for progress. No substantive changes were noted, and the violations remain unabated. This site visit is reflected in Exhibit 3A, where we can see walking up the driveway, looking at several inoperable or unregistered vehicles. This is on the property, not from the road. Exhibit 3B at the top of the drive is shown, the top of the driveway is shown in Exhibit 3B before accessing the partially screened interior of the property. Another view just to the right of 3B is shown in 3C, more items to the side of the driveway on the property. And then coming up the driveway, looking back at the entry to the property is shown on 3D. And 3E shows the drainage just to the right of the driveway walking up. None of these photos show the interior of the property, which remained largely unabated. I asked that 3A, 3B, 3C, 3D, and 3E be admitted into evidence.
You took those photos?
Yes.
Okay, 3A through 3E are admitted. Mr. Stento, when you're referring to, I think you said a partially screened portion of the property.
Yes, sir.
Are any of these photos showing that area, like inside the screening?
If we go back to Exhibit 1, 1C, And 1D, we can see the interior of the property.
I guess I'm not sure what you mean by the interior of the property.
I understand, sir. It would have been easier if I showed you a map. When walking, and I should have, I apologize. When walking up the drive, which we've seen in numerous pictures to the property, past the secondhand materials shown in numerous photos at the top of that drive, specifically 3B and 3C, there is a gate to the driveway. To the right of that gate is an unobstructed passage onto a partially fenced interior area that is not really visible from the road. That area is host to a substantive amount of unscreened secondhand materials, an mobile home, several other items in there. This was a portion of this material was deemed compliant in previous cases, going back to the 1997 case reflected in Exhibit 7. For our evidence, we chose to focus on the material that was overtly visible from the drive, from the road. We would allow Mr. Flamey a reasonable amount of screen storage at the interior of the property. He would have to manage some of that screening and remove some of it. But our photographs focused on the most egregious violations.
So so are any of the photographs of the, because I thought you were saying in the interior, the photos of the interior of the property are partially fenced, but they're not, the materials that are shown are not screened?
The square footage of the pursuant to the zoning regs, the square footage of the materials that are quote unquote screened, and we would be generous with our assessment of screening in this case, in the sense that we would permit natural features such as trees to entail screening to some extent. But the sheer square footage of the material at the interior of the property is in the thousands of square feet versus the 350 to 400 square feet that would be permitted based on acreage in the zoning ordinance.
Okay, I understand. Okay, I cut you off at 3E, so please continue.
Oh, quite all right. Were my exhibits admitted to evidence, sir?
Yes,
Thank you.
3A through 3E were admitted.
Thank you. A citation notice to appear and admission or denial of responsibility were issued to Mr. Flammy after the 27th September site visit and sent via certified mail on 03 October 2023. Mr. Flammy signed for these on 10 October 2023. These items are reflected in exhibits 3, 4, and 5, including the certified mail receipt. And I ask that exhibits 3, 4, and 5 be admitted into evidence. Note, sir, as well that exhibit 5 is simply a blank copy of the admission or denial that was sent, since we did not receive a copy returned. So.
Okay. Mr. Stento, would you show Mr. and I'm saying Flame, is it Flamey?
It is Flammy, I believe. Flammy.
Would you show Mr. Flammy the green card affiliated with Exhibit 5?
I will. And sir, this is also in your book. Yeah, here, I can show you exactly where it is.
Sir, you see that green card and it has your name and address on it and then also your signature?
Right.
Is that actually your signature?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Stento, exhibits 3, 4, and 5 are admitted.
Okay. I visited the property again on 20 December 2023 to post a laminated copy of the notice to appear, as 2 months had elapsed since the original was received by Mr. Flammy. I did not observe any substantive abatement efforts while there and stapled the laminated notice to appear on a fence post at the entry to the property. Follow-up site visit on 02 January 2024 showed the laminated notice to appear had been removed. This was done as an extra step to ensure Mr. Fleming was aware of the pending hearing in January 2024. On 04 January 2024, I received a call from Mr. Fleming regarding the scheduled hearing. Mr. Fleming stated he had a serious medical condition that had prevented him from any work for months, and that condition had included hospitalization. Mr. Fleming requested more time to gain compliance, and on 06 January 2024, Mr. Fleming visited Coconino County Community Development in person and provided a note from his physician verifying his condition. Based on the circumstances, code enforcement opted to request a continuance to provide Mr. Fleming additional time to pursue compliance. I recommended to Mr. Fleming at that time that under the circumstances, he may wish to consider recruiting assistance for cleanup. An order was issued and served on Mr. Fleming both in person on 17 January 2024 when he visited community development again, and via certified mail signed and returned on 23 January. Signed on 23 January rather, and then returned to Coconino County Community Development. I request that Exhibit 8 be admitted into evidence. And Exhibit 8 is the order that was issued regarding the continuance. And then we have the certified mail receipt signed on 22 January. And then we also have the affidavit confirming we handed the order to Mr. Fleming on 17 January at 12:43 hours.
Okay. Okay, Exhibit 8 is admitted.
Thank you. Code Enforcement Officer John Cole visited the property on 27 February 2024 to check progress and noted violations of unscreened secondhand materials, refuse, household items, and inoperable vehicles remain substantially unchanged and unabated. John took pictures 9A, 9B, 9C, and 9D on that date, again, which was 27 February 2024. I request exhibits 9A, 9B, 9C, and D be admitted into evidence. And again, those were taken by Code Enforcement Officer John Cole, not myself.
On February 27, 2024.
That's correct.
And these appear all to be on the property. Is that right?
That's correct.
In other words, John was on the property taking these photos.
That is correct.
So for example, in 9A, is that the driveway leading from the road?
That is correct. In the far rear of 9A, the road in the distance running perpendicular to the driveway is River Valley Road. That is recognized right of way.
And where is 9B?
9B is actually on the interior of the property again. So we can see the square footage, the substantial square footage of, screened or partially screened secondhand material on the interior of the property that we were discussing as photographed in exhibits 1C and 1D.
And you're saying that that's partially screened, what, because of trees?
There's a fence that is opaque around part of it. And then we would consider the vegetation a degree of screening, yes. The county zoning ordinance is somewhat nebulous when it refers to the method of screening itself and focuses on the visibility of the material. So we would permit some screened material there. At the rear of the dwelling on the property is an old mobile home. So it would have to meet both of those criteria. Some of the material, again, within a limited square footage, 350 to 400 square feet, would be permissible, or storage of that material would be permissible. But again, what we're looking at in Exhibit 9B is that view likely encompasses at least 1,000 square feet of material. And there is more to the left and to the right.
Okay, and 9C, where is that taken?
9C is, you can see River Valley Road across the fence in the top right.
Oh.
So this is just at the entry to the property. And these are some vehicle parts, tires, and refuse there. Those items are visible right at the entry to the property. 9D, you can see Code Enforcement Officer Cole's truck in the upper right corner, parked just off the right of way. And here we are focusing on inoperable vehicles, though I should note the silver vehicle just in front of John's truck does appear to have current registration. We have not confirmed operability. The trailer and the two red vehicles are considered unregistered and obvious.
Okay, were you able to confirm that those vehicles are not registered?
Yes, again, with the exception of the white car, or excuse me, silver car in front of John's truck, that does have a current registration.
I'm just gonna say on this picture here, this red one car here, it's a Honda, and that is registered and has insurance. And then this other red car, I just called that off about 2 or 3 days ago. So that, because that was my sister's, I was just supposed to get rid of it for her, but I finally got rid of that, but. Okay, I'll
So,
see
sir-
what I'm on that.
Sir, you'll have a full opportunity to tell me all about that in a few minutes here. No problem. I appreciate the information. Okay, so please, Mr. Stento, 9A through 9B are admitted.
Thank you. I conducted a final site visit on 05 March 2024 to check the status of the property. Some items have been moved around, but the violations remain substantially unabated and appeared as depicted in exhibits 9A through 9D largely. Finally, I would like to bring to the attention of the hearing officer exhibit 7.
Wait, hold on one second, Mr. Stento. So the photos 9A through 9D were taken on February 27, is that right?
That is correct.
But you're saying you did another final visit on March 5th, and you're just
That's
saying that things that were shown in 9A through 9D were unchanged.
I am testifying as such, sir. Yes.
You don't have any new photos from the March 5th
I do
review?
not.
Okay.
Just my testimony.
Okay. Okay, please continue.
Thank you. Finally, I would like to bring to the attention of the hearing officer exhibit 7. Exhibit 7 outlines the extensive history of violations associated with APN 106070001 Victor, going back to 2005 and prior, including an order of permanent injunction issued by the Coconino County Superior Court on 13 May 2011 for maintaining unscreened outdoor storage of secondhand materials and unlicensed or inoperable vehicles on the property. As for exhibit 7, the case notes from prior cases to be admitted into evidence.
Okay, exhibit 7 is admitted.
Thank you. Reviewing this case, Coconino County alleges the defendant is responsible for the following violations: unscreened outdoor storage of unlicensed or inoperable vehicles, and unscreened outdoor storage of vehicle parts, secondhand materials, appliances, household materials, and refuse. That does include some screened outdoor storage of those items well in excess of the square footage limitations permitted in the county zoning ordinance as well. And the county will review relief in its closing statements.
The citation is strictly for unscreened outdoor storage. Is that right?
That is correct, so yes.
Okay. And it's unscreened outdoor storage of the secondhand materials, unscreened outdoor storage of inoperable vehicles, and unscreened outdoor storage of refuse. Is that right?
That is correct.
Okay. And tell me one more time, what your evidence is of the that the vehicles are inoperable, keeping in mind that the zoning ordinance defines inoperable as cannot be started or driven under their own power.
The condition of the vehicles, and we did not note, except for the silver vehicle I noted prior, we did not note any current registrations on any of the vehicles.
Okay. And in terms of the vehicles that you're referencing in the citations, is it those two red vehicles and the trailer?
Two red vehicles with the trailer, and there's another vehicle at the top of the driveway. And that is shown in, let me reference the correct picture, sir, 1 second.
If they're in the most recent ones, that would be helpful.
I understand. I just need to scroll through mine real quick and look. So if we look at Exhibit 9A, we can see a vehicle to the rear of that material.
That kind of silver vehicle right before the bend in the driveway.
That's correct.
So you indicated the condition of the vehicles, no current registration. I assume you checked state records and there was no registration?
We do not have access to state records. So we cannot verify that. If Mr. Fleming can present us with registrations and show us that the vehicles, which not in very good condition, can operate, we will consider that. But we have not been presented with any evidence, nor have we observed any in the field that indicates operability or registration on the ones we're referencing.
Okay, so when you say no registration, you because you observed on the license plates, for example,
That's
or lack of
correct.
license.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, we do not have an ability to easily run tags.
Okay. And the vehicles that you've referenced, so you got the two red vehicles, the trailer, and the silver vehicle in 9A. Over the course of your several visits to the property, had any of those vehicles moved location?
Mr. Fleming referenced one of the red vehicles shown in 9D having recently been moved. And on my recent site visit, I can confirm that small red vehicle there just to the right of the trailer had been moved. I did not see, and I looked specifically, I did not see on the remaining three vehicles anything indicating operability or registrations.
Okay, so when you went out there on March 5th, that small red vehicle to the right of the trailer in 9D was no longer there?
That is correct.
Okay.
Or the remainder of the in-ops were
Pardon?
still present and the violations were.
Okay. Okay. Mr. Stento, anything else?
No, sir.
Okay. Mr. Flammy,
Yeah,
you have the opportunity now to ask Mr. Stento questions about everything he just told me. So you can do that now. You can ask him questions about his evidence. Okay, do you have questions for him?
Well, I knew I needed to do all this stuff. And now the kind of winter's kind of going downhill and I really couldn't, if I felt pretty good. About 3 weeks ago when it snowed, I went to bed, I didn't do anything with it. then, so I lost about 3 weeks there. But I know I need to clean this up, I'm not denying that, it just, and I know that the vehicle that's furthest up in the driveway, that's registered and got insurance, and then those other two, they're registered. But the other vehicle, I know I'm paying insurance on it and it's registered, even, I didn't have the stickers stuck on the license plate, it's on the front seat, the registration is right there. So
Sir.
those two are registered.
Sir, let me interrupt you for a minute, okay? Let me interrupt you, because you have an opportunity to tell me all of this information, but before you do that, do you have any questions for Mr. Stento about everything he told me?
No, I really don't. I know all that stuff needs to be cleaned up, and I realize that. I'm not saying I don't need to, but now I'm kind of coming back where I'm starting to feel like I can work a little bit, and I realize I need to do this, but now the weather's getting good, I think I can start working at it now.
Okay. What were you saying about one of the vehicles is actually registered?
There are 3 of those vehicles in that driveway. There's one furthest up. It's it's a Kia that is registered and runs. And the other two down at the bottom, those, they're registered and they have insurance. I don't have that paperwork with me. But I know they don't look good, but I need to like I need to move. I know I need to move all this stuff. But I'm gonna be kind of give you some history of what happened to me. It was it was the first week of December. I wasn't really feeling no good, and I was pretty rough. But I had my sister come pick me up because I told her I need to go to the hospital. And it was on the third of December, because I was feeling blood pretty good. And then I had her take me to the hospital. And then it turned out that I was pretty rough. But they ended up telling me they took out my left kidney, and they said there was a tumor on it because they did some tests and then I think it was the next day. I could see they had like a TV where they check you out. And then a tumor on my left kidney. But then they took that out, and they told me that it was cancer. And then, but before this, I didn't realize it, but probably for at least 3 months before I went to the hospital, I just didn't realize it, but I just didn't have energy or too much power. I just thought, man, I'm just getting old. But then when I found out that it was that kidney with the cancer, just kind of took on my energy on that time. But yeah, I'm doing pretty good. I still hurt a little bit inside. I think it's where where they cut it off the inside, and then they cut it off to, what do they call them? No, oops. They cut those out too, because they said, cancer goes to those. I said, well, come out. You guys know what you're doing. I don't know. I was saying, I know I need to do all this, but now I'm starting to feel pretty good now. But just, I'm asking you to just. Maybe, I know, just probably repetitious, but just give me a couple more months and I can start kind of cleaning this up, because I'm coming back. Even though it's hurting me, still a little bit, because I know when I moved that red car about 3 days ago, I looked at that. I looked at that car and I used to come on, but I'm really not. I'm not supposed to really. I work pretty hard. You know, I do that, but I'm coming back. You know, and they said, what it did to me, it's like, takes like 6 months to a year before you finally get all well inside. But I really think I do this, but I just kind of had a little health issue there, so that's all I can say.
Okay, well, I am very sorry to hear about your health issue. I'm glad you feel like you're coming back, and I wish you good health. Let me ask you, how many acres do you have out there on that land?
It's 2.5.
2.5 acres, okay. And you heard Mr. Stento talking about some area where you've got some fencing maybe, and then some trees. Was his description accurate?
Well, yeah, I got stuff on top that, I need to just kind of clean up and organize it. And, I didn't realize you can walk up on top of the property where you can't see it from the road, and you can take pictures of that. Even though it says no trespassing, but I guess I gotta I know I need to kind of cover that up.
Okay. And you heard Mr. Stento say you've got thousands of square feet of refuse and secondhand materials. Is that accurate?
Yes, there's a lot of stuff there I need to remove.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, anything else that you want to share with me, sir?
No, I just want to say that again, like I know I need to clean that driveway up, but I'm coming back. I can start before I didn't have no power, and then I wasn't supposed to be doing anything, but okay. And I just gotta do this by myself. I don't have no one I can pay to help me, but
I understand.
But I'm starting to get it now. Now it's not windy and the weather's starting to get good. I can work outside.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate the information. Mr. Stento, you know, respondent did not return the admission or denial of responsibility form, which is typically considered an admission, and so we would strictly be talking about liability. How does the county want to handle that situation?
Well, foremost, I would like to establish that the county, specifically the code enforcement, is deeply sympathetic to Mr. Fleming's current medical condition. And we certainly wish him a speedy recovery. When we make our allegations regarding the zoning ordinance violations, we do so within the context of the almost 30-year case history on the property and the same violations that have unfortunately perpetuated off and on, and even elevating to the county superior court during that period. So with that sympathy in mind,
we still allege that the defendant is responsible for unscreened storage of unlicensed or operable vehicles and unscreened storage of vehicle parts, secondhand materials, et cetera, as we discussed. The relief the county requests is an initial fine of $100 due immediately. On or before 08 April 2024, any unlicensed vehicles that are on the parcel or inoperable vehicles shall be either removed from the parcel, made operable, and or licensed as applicable. On or before 08 April 2024, any remaining secondhand materials, refuse, vehicle parts, appliances, household items that cannot be confined to an approximately 400 square foot area at the rear of the dwelling and screened on the parcel, as we discussed, shall be removed from the parcel. And we would be lenient in our assessments of square footage, so approximately 400 square feet. Further, if items 2 and 3 are not fully accomplished on or before 08 April 2024 pursuant to Coconino County Zoning Ordinance Section 514 C4A III, Coconino County requests a $250 non-compliance penalty due immediately. For each day of non-compliance after 08 April 2024, a daily penalty of $40 per day is requested. The maximum cumulative amount of daily penalties is $1,500. And should the daily penalty balance reach $1,500, the matter should be forwarded to the county attorney's office for further legal action.
Okay. Mr. Stento, what I'd like you to do is before the end of the day today is submit to me in writing what that request was.
I will, sir.
But essentially you're giving until April 8th. You're asking to be given until, you're asking for Mr. Flamme to be given until April 8th to clean up.
That's correct.
And you're offering that he can have about 400 square feet of screened area where he can put his refuse.
That's
And
correct.
secondhand materials. And with respect to the vehicles, to either get them removed or made operable and registered.
Yes, sir. If he shows us the registrations on the vehicles and we don't have any obvious signs of inoperability, such as obviously missing parts necessary for function, flat tires, et cetera, we are willing to consider the vehicles registered and operable under those circumstances.
Okay. Okay, well, put your request for relief in writing for me.
I will.
And so that I can at least consider that, and we'll go from there.
Yes, sir. I will have it to you within the hour.
Okay. Mr. Flamme, anything else that you'd like me to consider?
No, you guys kind of got me here, so I don't know what else to tell you.
Okay, well, I appreciate the information that you shared from me before. County, I have all of your exhibits that have been admitted, and I will take this matter under advisement. That means, Mr. Flamme, that means I'm going to think about all the information that I've been provided for today, and I'm going to issue a decision in writing as soon as possible, and that written decision will be provided to you. Okay, sir?
Okay, there's one thing I don't understand when there was something about, I was supposed to do something within 3 days, or I had a chance to do something. What's that about?
I don't know. What was that, Mr. Stento?
I think you might be referring to the admission or denial of responsibility within 30 days.
Yeah, what's that?
When we sent you the notice to.
Let me try. So one of the documents that you were given looked like this. Can you show that to him in the packet, Mr. Stento?
Yeah, I'm sure, was it something I was supposed to sign, or you know what I was supposed to do them?
Yeah, so you were supposed to initial one of the lines on that form saying either that you admit that you've got a problem out there, that you admit that there are violations, or that you deny that there are violations. And then you were supposed to send that form back to the county.
Oh,
And-
okay.
and
I didn't
because-
realize that.
And
Okay.
because you didn't do that, Normally that's considered an admission. So your failure to turn it back in means that you admitted that there were these violations out there. Okay. So I was just asking Mr. Stento how he wants to handle the fact that you had not turned that form back into the county. That's all.
Okay, then I didn't know, I needed to do that, okay.
Okay. All right. Well, with that, I appreciate everyone's time this morning and your sworn testimony. Mr. Stento, I'm going to look for that statement of relief requested from you, and then I will issue a decision just as soon as I can. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Mr.
You have a great day today. Thank you.
You as well.
Bye-bye.
Show's down. So if we get there, Robert, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
So you got a lot of stuff on the interior of the property. So you were talking about access to the property and us getting in. If we don't have a barrier, we can go across, we can walk onto the property. So if you don't want people on the property, no trespassing signs don't mean anything if we can just walk onto the interior of the property. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I know, the time I didn't have the gate shut at the bottom, so I can see the way.
Well, and look, we can walk right around to the side and walk right on. It's totally unobstructed. There's no